to Dalim's Candid Conversations, and today we have with us the Dean of Academics and Quality Assurance, Subodhi Day sir, with us. Welcome to our show, sir, for Dalim's Educational Group of Schools and Hostels.
Yeah, good morning, Saurav.
A very warm welcome to our show, sir. And today, before we start our show, I would like to dwell into your past, like how you have been as a student, how you were as a youngster, how you were as a kid. So before we start that, sir, I would ask you, how were you as a kid? Were you a notorious guy, or were you a very disciplined one?
I was a disciplined boy all throughout my life, but at the same time, I used to be very naughty. I was a sports person, but then I always wanted to be a teacher because the school where I studied, I had wonderful teachers who actually taught me beyond the subject. So they all became my role models, and I always wanted to be a teacher. And then when I had an experience into teaching, then I thought that I should also be going for the educational administration. And then I took over principalship. About 18 long years I spent as a principal in some very reputed schools of India. And after that I took over as the Dean of Academics and Quality Assurance.
Sir, as you mentioned, you were naughty. I would like to understand what was the kind of naughtiness, किस तरह की बदमाशी जो आप कहते हैं कि बच्चे, आजकल के बच्चे बहुत डिफरेंट हो चुके हैं, मोबाइल्स हैव कम इन, बट अगर आपके बात करें और अगर हम अपनी जनरेशन की बात करें, मोबाइल्स वर नॉट दैट रिलेवेंट, तो बच्चे खेलने जाते थे बाहर, बच्चे हर तरह की बदमाशी करते थे और कहीं ना कहीं उनसे सीखते भी थे. तो हम आपसे जानना चाहेंगे सर, किस तरह की बदमाशियां आप करते थे?
Naughtiness during our time was not mobile oriented or gadget oriented. Naughtiness during our time was stolen pleasure. कि मम्मी ने कहा ये नहीं करना है, पापा ने कहा ये नहीं करना है, इसको करके देखिए. और वो भी हम लोग अकेले नहीं करते थे, ग्रुप में करते थे. Naughtiness for me was going to the back bench of the class when the teacher was not interesting. Naughtiness for me was like eating the tiffin in the fourth period so that during the break time I can have enough time to play with my friends.
Yes, sir.
So otherwise, then as far as academics is concerned, as far as doing the homeworks is concerned, as far as maintenance of the timetable, maintenance of the biological clock is concerned, we had no problems because parents were very strict, teachers were stricter.
Yes, sir. Now, as you mentioned, sir, parents were strict. What was the strictness like? There was time when, like, if I talk about myself, my parents were very strict for studies. They did allow me to go out for sports. They did allow me to do other co-curricular activities, but they wanted me to focus more on studies. I would like to understand what was the pressure that you had during that time.
Today we speak of holistic education, but I must say that I had lovely parents who actually believed in holistic education. My father was a very well-known badminton player. Okay. My mother, though, was a homemaker, but then they always wanted me to have a balance between academics and games. I was a Subrudaka player in football. I represented my university, my state in the table tennis. So it was because of my parents that I could have an amalgamation of sports as well as academics.
Sports did have it would have a force behind you to what you have become today. Definitely, and I always tell it to my students that if you are not into sports, you are a half man. Because when you are in the ground, you fall down, you profusely bleed, and then you come up, you develop resilience. Definitely, sir.
So sports and games is the way through which the resilience can normally develop. Resilience cannot be developed with the help of participation in the workshops or seminars.
Definitely.
So sports has helped me in that. Sports has also helped me in the group feeling, in cooperation, in team building, which are integral for anybody to be successful in life.
Definitely, sir. And now if we go ahead in your education system, I would ask, sir, was there anything that you think, looking back today, that failure, or I would not say failure, but somehow that the result was not what you were expecting out of it, it changed you, and if you look back today, you may be down at that time that I did not get the result that I wanted to, but today if you look back and you say, nah, this has changed my life for better.
Education or academics or school system, as you say, especially I'll focus on the school system because I am with the school still today, was very, very scientific, very, very rational. Because the teachers during my time, they went much beyond the syllabus, much beyond the curriculum. They were with us, they wanted to teach the child. They knew the child more as compared to today, when we are so much into the competitive world and everybody is rushing up with the syllabus, every child is coming to the school with the expectation that I am going to be a doctor, I am going to be an engineer. See, during our time also, these expectations were there. But then parents were there to tell us that even if you don't become a doctor, if you don't become an engineer, no worries. But now you see so much of explosion has taken up, so much of expansion has taken up, so many careers have come up. During our time, so much of expansion was not there. Careers were also very limited. But are we not successful?
Yes, definitely.
Success during that time and the definition of success today are entirely different.
Definitely. And sir, I would like to ask you to indulge in this a little further, because how do you say that success during your time and success today are two different things? I would like you to help us and our viewers to know that.
Saurav, it is a very good question and a question very close to my heart. I will try to answer it the way I have made myself understood. Success during my time was synced with happiness. Success today, for today's generation, is with name, fame and other things, which may not give them the happiness. Because see, if you want to be successful, first of all, you need to know whether you can have a balance between your professional life and your personal life. But today, people are moving behind so-called success only for name, fame and brand. So the personal life is totally getting lost.
Definitely, sir. And sir, the main purpose of this candid conversation, like the topic that I wanted to indulge into was, like, in the recent times we are receiving news like young students who are not able to qualify NEET, who are not able to qualify IITs, are committing suicide somewhere down the line. And this is not a good thing for the society that we are living in. I would like you to tell us, because you are for a very long time you have been in the academics, as you mentioned, you have been the principal, you have been in the educational institutions, you have been there for a very long time. I want to understand, where should the educational institution, what's the role of these educational institutions in building a mindset for these young children so that they can handle failure, sir? Because they are not able to handle failure, and that's why such news are coming out.
Saurav, you have given me a long list of questions. However, I'll be taking up one issue at a time.
Yes, sir.
NEET, IIT. I have been teaching class 12 for the last 24 years of my life. When I started teaching class 12 and when I left teaching class 12, both the class 12s were not the same.
Okay.
Their aims, their ambition, their expectations 24 years back and now in the last year, they are not the same. When I started teaching class 12, they also wanted to become doctors and engineers. But what they knew was the number of seats were very limited. So they also curved a different path for themselves. They wanted to go for BScs, proceeding on to MScs. But now, NEET and IIT, they have become a brand. I mean, if you do not qualify for NEET, your life is not there. You have to end your life. If you do not qualify for the JEE, if you do not crack your IITs, I mean, it's nothing. You know, your relatives, your friends, your peers, your teachers, even your parents, they would also be asking you, they would also be questioning you.
The expectations are high.
Expectations are very high.
Yes,
so I strongly believe that NEET and IIT, they are not the end of life.
Definitely, sir.
Are you not successful in your life?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Am I not successful in my life? I'm a teacher and you are doing so well in your own profession. So are doctors and engineers the only people who can run the society? If that is not the case, why is our education system not explaining or not convincing the younger generation that you need to do your SWOT analysis first?
Definitely.
Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat.
Threats.
If you feel that you are having the strengths academically, temperamentally, as well as far as your personality is concerned, to take up medicine as a profession, come on, go for medicine. But then, if you don't qualify for the NEET, then what? You can go for BSc nursing, you can go for paramedical, you can go for B Pharma, you can go for microbiology, you can go for geophysics. But then no. Society wants them to be branded as MBBS.
MBBS.
Even at times, Saurabh, I'll tell you, I have students who say that no sir, I am not going to go for even BDS.
Yeah, definitely, sir. There are many. I personally know many people who did not choose BDS even after qualifying for the NEETs because they wanted to be MBBS and they were not happy with the result that they were getting BDS. So that's a very, I would say, that's something that's concerning. That's definitely concerning. And as I mentioned, sir, the other part of the question was like, what's the role of the educational institution where you receive education till class 12th, where you can prepare these students mentally, especially to handle failures like this?
See, coaching institutes were there during my time also. And now also the same coaching institutes are functioning. But there has been a sea change in the functioning of the coaching institutes, and there has also been a sea change in the functioning of the schools. During our time, during our childhood, schools played a very, very important role in preparing the child for the NEET and the JEEs. But now, people feel, or people have been made to feel, or the schools have been made to feel, or even the parents have been made to feel that no, schools are not in a position to prepare the students for the JEE or the NEET examination. My question is, who is going to be blamed for this?
Definitely, sir.
The schools have a +2 system. The schools are teaching the same subjects, the same syllabi as the questions come in the competitive examinations like NEET and JEE. Then where is it that the failure is coming up? My contention is the policies has to change. We know that there is a difficulty level difference between the AISSCE examination and the NEET and the JEE examination. So, if you want to reduce your so-called suicidal rate, this gap between the CBSE examination or the board examination at the end of class 12 and the question paper of the competitive examination should not have a big gap. Fine. They also want to take the best
Students. Definitely.
But why not there is a sink? So if the sink is there, I think the number of suicidal rates should be less. Now coming to your next point, that is the role of the schools. See, we all know that there is a big difference between the syllabus of class 10th and class 11th, 12th. The schools should be equipped to recruit teachers who should not only teach the syllabus of the boards but also should be teaching the students on how to crack these examinations. The way the competitive, the way the coaching centers are conducting the mock examinations, giving the mental preparation, why not these things are done at the school level? Why is there a blame game going on between the schools and the coaching centers? If we can have an integration of both, the best practices of the school and the best practices of the coaching centers, if we can integrate this for the benefit of the child so that the child can be successful in the examination, I think that is going to be the best alternative.
And sir, do you feel, like you mentioned coaching institutions, do you feel that these coaching institutions are also adding pressure to the students? Because a student is in a school, he does whatever he does for the 8 or 9 hours that he's in the school, then he's sent to the coaching institutions. There are pressures. He's also competing between the 60-70 odd students that are there, already there. Do you feel that pressure is mounting on the students because of all these things?
Saurabh, it is not a matter of schools and coaching centers complementing each other. Now the case in India is like the coaching centers have become parallel schools, or they have even substituted schools exactly, in some areas. Now my issue is 10 plus 2, this is class 11 and class 12 is very important. If a child misses this 2 precious years of his life and goes to the coaching center, don't you feel that there is going to be a huge gap, a mental gap, a gap in the mindset of the child when actually he becomes a person, he becomes an adult? Because I know, I had been the head boy of my school. I know that 11th and 12th is the most precious year of a student's life. जितना बदमाशी करना होता है वो 11th 12th में जाके होता है. Reason, there the teachers also become the friends. A child gives vent to his feelings to his teacher. He understands relationships. He goes and represents the school in so many competitions. He becomes the brand ambassador of the school. He conducts the morning assembly. He conducts the annual sports of the school. Now, if the child fails in doing all these things and goes to a coaching center just to crack an examination, just to memorize facts, just to know the shortcuts of success, I think there is going to be a huge gap. And this is also the reason why so many people, even after cracking the NEET and joining the AIMS or cracking the JEE and going to the IITs, even after that, they are also committing suicides, or they are becoming maladjusted, they are getting depressed, and they are also becoming unemployable.
Definitely.
So why is it that we are moving towards something which is actually a mirage? Let the children, let their parents, let the teachers, let the society assess the child for the normal growth. It's just like a normal birth and a cesarean one. A child who has a normal birth, the mother actually has the pain. But then if it is a cesarean one, you know that no, this is the date when it is going to happen.
Exactly.
So I feel that I will not blame the coaching centers, because they also know their targets. Schools and coaching centers should join hands and integrate a program conducive to learning, conducive to cracking the examinations.
Sir, only cracking the examination, because you have been mentioning like the amalgamation of coaching centers and the schools should also focus on the mental gap that we are saying, that जो माहौल बच्चों को दिया जा रहा है, the assembly conduction, the making of friends, like they are venting out their emotions, so that should also be one. Just cracking the exam should not be the only point or agenda on the list of the schools or the coaching institutions, but also getting him that personality development. Do you feel that that should also be the major point? Should that be?
What is important in life is adjustment.
Yes.
When I say that this person has a good personality, means that it's not a person is putting on a good dress. It is the way you talk, the way you mix, the way you adjust. So it is very important that the child in school should be trained into all these things, and all these things can be done or can be ingrained in the child once the child participates in each and every non-academic activities of the school, which I have mentioned to you. It can be the co-curriculars, it can be the co-scholastics, it can be the sports and games, it can be the cultural activities, it can be representation of the school. Because all this makes a child a leader. Even a person who is very, very introvert, given an exposure to all these things, the child will become a flower. You know, the bud will become a flower. But then if you stop the child in his or her normal growth, and you just tell the child that you have to be focused only on the gate of the IIT, only on the gate of the medical colleges, what happens to the development of the personality? That remains subdued, and the child will become a doctor or an engineer or a chartered accountant, but then he will not be in a position to adjust in life. In his family life, might be he's going to be maladjusted. Might be if he becomes a top boss also, he will not know the interpersonal skills, because 11th and 12th he was not at school.
Not at school, exactly, sir. Exactly. And as you mentioned, all these co-curricular activities, sports, these are very important, sir, because somewhere down the line, if like I have also played sports in my school life, and I can handle failures, because after losing a game, I would cry.
Right.
I would cry. I would vent out my emotions, but I would be ready to face another opponent. I'll be ready for another match to win. Even if I lose that, but I'll be happy, I'll be content, because sports taught me how to handle failures. So that is one very important thing.
Very right.
That is one very important
Very
thing.
right.
So the government is focusing on Khelo India, but I think the implementation has not been that good. Do you feel that same? somewhere down the line?
I should not go and speak anything against the policy makers.
No, not the policymakers, sir, but implementation, like implementation on the part of the school, because we are so much focused on education somewhere down the line. We are neglecting sports.
Right. Sports and games was neglected during my time. It was only because my parents wanted me to be a sports person, because my father always believed that if I participate in sports, as I told you, and if I bleed, if there is an injury, and then I come back, see, I get rid of that fear. I have that resilience. I know how to bounce back. And this bouncing back in life is very important, because life is not a bed of roses. Life is full of hurdles. Life is full of impediments. If you are doing something good, there will be lots of your oppositions. Now, if you do not know how to survive against these hurdles of life, then you will not enjoy the beauty of life. Because if the life is full of, if your life is very smooth, you will not enjoy the dynamicity of life. And if you do not enjoy the dynamicity of life, what is it that at the end of the life you are going to feel?
You definitely will not be content. Even if you achieve what you wanted to, somewhere down the line you will not be that content, because as you mentioned, the interpersonal skills are missing.
See, the sunshine is bright, or the sunshine makes a person happy only because there was an evening which went to the night. So the dawn or the morning is more beautiful only because we had seen what darkness of the night is. So every person, every child should be made to be exposed to a negative situation, to a situation where he is defeated, to a situation where he has failed, and then after a little bit of hand holding, leave the child. Let him fight out his own battle during his formative years. Only then he can be a leader. Because a leader is a person who actually leads from the front. A leader is also a person who should be giving the backup to his or her support team. And a leader cannot be made. A leader can be ingrained from his within.
Definitely. And sir, I remember a line from a poem which says कि गिरते हैं घुड़सवार ही मैदाने जंग में.
Right.
और वो क्या गिरा जो चला घुटनों के बल.
Very right.
So that is something that our students need to learn, need to inculcate these things. Now, my next question would be, sir, where do you see the role of teachers per se in these situations, in making the children realize that failures are not the end of road?
I still remember during my childhood, if my father used to say something and my teacher used to say just the opposite, I used to tell my father my teacher is correct. Teachers play a very important role in shaping the values, shaping the views, shaping the opinion of a student's life. Because whatever the teacher says, the student feels that is the gospel truth. So here also, the teacher plays a very important role as far as making of the mental health of the child is concerned. There will be places where, or there would be issues where the child will not confide things in the parents. And we know that if the child cannot confide things in the parents, the child will try to confide things in a friend. And sometimes the virtual friend, and you know what is going to be the consequence of that.
Yes, sir.
So it is better that the child confides in a teacher who is also a parent. Now comes the role of the teacher. First of all, the teacher should be child-centric. The teacher should be a very patient listener. The teacher should develop a very good rapport with the child, and the child should have faith in the teacher that even if I confide something in her or him, it is going to be a secret. Next, the teacher should also try to give a direction to the child, not solution. Direction.
Exactly.
Because if the teacher gives a solution to the child, the hand-holding process would be going on. So I believe, and I have done it as a counselor myself, I have done it. I have always tried to give direction to the child. And the child used to ask me, will I be successful? I used to say, you find out. This is a proven truth. If you go in this direction, might be you will have hurdles, but then if you have the resilience, you can be successful in your life. The teachers should not do anything that hurts the sentiments of the child. And if a bond is established between the teacher and the student, I think many of the negative thoughts that the child has developed from various quarters, from various areas, that can be discussed with the teacher, and that can be solved.
Definitely. And sir, I remember like the great MS Dhoni. I'm a big fan, follower of him, and I believe whenever a question was put to him regarding success, he would always say one line, that it's not the success that matters, it's the process that matters.
Very right.
You may not achieve success, but if your process is right, you will definitely win something. So people should focus more on the process, and I genuinely believe that these are some very beautiful lines, and it has a huge impact. I try to do things by the process. I do not wait for the end result. The end result may change, I may fail, I may win, but the process matters a lot. Now the next question would be, sir, what would you see, how would you see the role of parents here? Like teachers, definitely, they are the thing, they are someone where the child spends most of its time in the school or in the coaching institutions. Now it's the parents who somewhere down the line have societal pressure, and then they forget that it's their child, it's their own child, and they need, because mental health in India is something that is not being discussed, especially in children.
Sure.
There are celebrities who are coming out and talking about mental health now, but it's not being talked about for the children. So I would ask you, what is the role of parents here, sir?
Parents should be the best friends of the child. Parents should not be only the people who should be satisfying the daily requirements of the child by paying money or by gifting a mobile. I personally feel, as a teacher, as a principal, and also as a very proud father, what a child needs from the father or the mother is quality time. कुछ नहीं, बैठो मेरे साथ और मेरा बकवास सुनो. ये जो बकवास होता है, this is actually the quality time. The child wants somebody to listen to, making him important. That yes, my parents are listening to me. And if this is done, then many of the problems of the child's life would be solved. And in another way, I should say about these mobiles. Even if your child is present with you, you are busy with your mobile. I would be requesting all the parents. We all know that the mobiles are very important in our lives. It is the only connecting device with the society, with the world. But then if on a given day we can spend 1 hour with our child on a dinner table or in an outing without the mobiles, the child is going to be damn happy, and this 1 hour the child is going to remember for the rest of the years of their life. Now, other than this, the parents should also be a very, very good listener. The parents should also not compare the child with the relative's child or with the neighbor's child.
The major problem that the Indian society has.
That is the biggest problem. And another problem is, I wanted to be a doctor, I could not become a doctor, so I want my son or my daughter to be a doctor. My daughter wants to be a journalist. My daughter wants to be an entrepreneur. My daughter wants to be a lawyer. Because the school has taught my child, or the school has ingrained in the child this finer qualities, both in aptitude as well as attitude. But then I as a parent, if I want to get my own dreams fulfilled through my child, that is pressure on the child. Exactly. Because see, your child loves you so much. So now your child will think of fulfilling your dream.
So that is another added pressure.
That is another added pressure.
The education pressure is already there. He or she has to pass the exams, and then he has the pressure that I have to make my parents proud.
Definitely. The child is already into peer pressure. The child is into society's pressure. The child is, very confused what to do and what not to do. And the child desperately wants the father and the mother to hold the hand and say, कि बेटा तुम जो कर रहे हो सही करो, हम तुम्हारे साथ
साथ
हैं।
हैं।
अब देखिए उसका जो एक्सीलरेशन रेट होगा वो बहुत ज्यादा हो जाएगा। द चाइल्ड विल बी वेरी हैप्पी, एंड यू नो हैप्पीनेस इज वन accelerating force.
That you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
The first thing that you mentioned was happiness.
Yes,
Happiness
yes.
is
Very
success.
important. Happiness is success for me.
Definitely, sir. So I would not say the last question, but like we talked about teachers, we talked about parents. Now we come to the students, because somewhere down the line, they, as you mentioned, they are into a bubble where the pressure is very high. How do these students tackle it?
Students or children, for me,
Yeah.
students or children can tackle it only if they are trained. This training will start at home. The father and the mother should tell the child, there is a world for you. Whatever God has destined for you, that is going to happen. You just make your sincere and true effort. Leave the rest to God. Because when God has created us, I believe, because I'm a firm believer in divinity, I believe whatever is destined, that is going to happen. But as you told, that we should make the process. So if you know that you are having your potential, you go ahead with your process. Don't wait for the result. Whatever is going to happen for good. Moving on to the school, starting from the formative years, from nursery, the teacher should not give any sort of pressure on the child as far as the selection of the career is concerned, but the teacher should be guiding and facilitating the child in the pursuance of the career of the child according to the child's temperament, according to the child's taste. Coming to the middle school, the child should be guided by the subject teachers to choose the strength of his or her subject. When the child goes to the senior school, the teachers or the school counselor or the school principal should be laying in front of him or her what are the various career options, and tell the child, these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses, these are your opportunities, and these are your threats. Now these are all the careers, these are the career options. Now when you have a wide choice, you know, arey, wow, there is so much of life, I can do it. So the child should be given a very, very free kind of an environment, very, very free and patient kind of listeners, very, very understanding teachers and parents, and the child should be taught that you or your choice is going to determine your future. Make the child feel that you are responsible for the creation of your own thing, nobody else. And give the guidance, give the support, give the assistance, love, and tell, hum hai na. Teachers, parents, all together, they join the child and say, aage badho, we are there for you, don't worry. Because the education at home, the education in the school, if they are true, if they are sincere, the child will definitely march ahead and become a leader.
My final question to you would be, sir, what would your message to I will not say students because we are mentioning the children, I would say to all those children who are listening to us.
My dear children, remain a child even if you become an adult. Do not ever allow anybody to dictate terms. Listen to everybody, but then the choice of your future is going to be yours. And remember, your teachers and your parents will always be there to support you, whether you are a doctor or an engineer or a teacher or an astronaut. Remain happy, remain cheerful. God bless all of you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Saurav. It was really a very, very interactive session. And I think that such sessions should be organized in the future also.
Definitely.
So that the society at large, which is in utter crisis, gets benefited.
Definitely, sir. Thank you very much. And to all the listeners and to all the viewers, I hope this session would have granted you good faith. And to all those children who still somewhere down the line feel that they are not able to cope up with the pressure that they are, kindly listen to this, and if you try to inculcate these things, I definitely feel, and as sir said, sir also feels that all those teachers, all the parents are there for you. You have to just share your views, your feelings with your parents, with your teachers, and success will definitely come to you, and failures are not end of the road. Thank you very much for listening.